Hey everyone, it's Kirk McLean here, and you're watching Clay's Canucks Commentary.
Hey Canucks fans, and welcome to Clay's Canucks Commentary Live, presented to you by Van City Experts Real Estate. I'm your host, Clay, Emo Canuck Clay, and this is my Canucks take in the morning, all in one take for Sunday morning, January the 11th. If you're new, here's what you should do. Hit the subscribe button now for daily Canucks insight that's positive, timely, and trustworthy. Hope you're doing well. We are staring at another week. I always count Sunday as the first day of the week. So it's nice when I get to do these morning shows on Sunday to kind of set the week off before my next show, which is tonight. And I hope you're doing well. I'm in a good mood despite our Canucks, who dropped yet another loss, another lopsided loss. This one, 5-0 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hockey Night in Canada. Thatcher Demko injured, bad power play, so many things. I'm actually not going to spend too much time talking about the game. I'll do a little bit for sure, just to prove to you guys that I watched it. But in all seriousness, I'm going to start to use these weekend shows as, I'm almost thinking about calling it like something like the Canucks Compass or something like that, where I will look at the direction the Canucks are going. I'll look at what happened in the past week. I'll look at what's happening coming up in the upcoming week, and then maybe look at the future as well. But I haven't made the full-blown switch to that name yet. Not a big deal, just a name, but something that I'm thinking about. But I'm certainly going to touch on some elements of last night's game for sure. But I won't do a full edge goal visualizer because there's no Canucks goals to even look at. I'll talk a bit about a couple of the issues that I think are plaguing this team. And then more importantly, I'll leave a lot of time for you to talk about where you are with this team right here, right now. As I titled the video, it was, can this Canucks season get any worse? And it's not even hypothetical. I'm truly asking you. And you know, my thumbnail says rock bottom, which kind of alludes to the same thing. So let's go. Moderators, do what you need to do to keep this a safe and respectful place. Members, that's legends, Hall of Fame and franchise members, thank you for your support. And to everyone else, no matter where you're watching from, where the beautiful neighborhood of Swervin Yrvin in the city, Lower Mainland, Province, country, continent, around the world, thank you for being here. You know that I know that you could be watching anyone else, doing anything else, getting ready for work, school, or shopping, or all three, but the fact that you are here with me, know how much I always appreciate you, know how much I never, ever take you for granted. So you can still get involved in these ways today. You can subscribe to the channel so you can get active in the chat section. You can like the video. You can leave a donation, gift a membership, buy your own membership, upgrade your membership, use your monthly membership message. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, make sure you rate and review. So I'm going to get to keep chatting with each other. That is awesome. Happy to see so many of you here. Some of you that don't come to the night shows, so that's cool to see you. So at least in the back end of YouTube, I see Burnsy, I see Fangirl, Jeevan, Justin, Leah, Russell, Spartan, and Unpaved. Russell, I'm not sure what the mood was like on your shows last night. I can only imagine. Also in the chat, that's why I was kind of saying it's not hypothetical. The stream title is a curse. It's the Canucks. It can always get worse. Okay, before I get started, you guys, let's get you guys involved right away, and then I'll talk about the game. And Tyler's here too. Good job with Rick. I watched it this morning. You did a good job. Rick is great. All right. I want you to type in the... Oh, it's Lyndon. Also, awesome. I want you to type in the chat. It can be creative, non-creative, fictional, non-fictional. What's one way that the Canucks can get worse this season? What's one way that the season can get worse? So again, it can be fictional, non-fictional, realistic, unrealistic. You want it to happen. You don't want it to happen. Involve a player, not involve a player, involve management, whatever. Injuries. You can be funny. You can be serious. You can make me smile. You can make me cry. What is one reason? What is one way that this Canucks season can get worse? Okay. So I'll highlight your next entries. Michael says, lose 30-0. I think that would be a record, unless we're talking about some like exhibition hockey, some superpower team versus some very bad team. So 30-0. I think Lyndon's going with a more realistic approach by not trading the right assets. Excellent real answer there, Lyndon. Thank you. Very good. So already a nice start. We got some creative there. Well, hypothetical and realistic, not realistic. Go winless the rest of the way. That would be bad in terms of morale and entertainment value. That would go a long way to securing the odds for the first lottery pick. Remember, it's just odds. It's not securing the first pick. They quit working hard every game. Great point, Chris. We do not want this to happen. We do not want this to happen for sure. Just looking something up while we're talking here. What else we got? How could this Canucks season get any worse? Wow, we had more expected goals than the Leafs yesterday. That's crazy. Yeah, because I was looking that up, Chris, because I actually don't think it's a matter of them not working hard. Because there's been very few times where I've said, oh man, I didn't like the Canucks' effort. The worst thing that can happen is we go on a winning streak and draft 15th overall, yes? Win only 10 games the rest of the way. Aquilini buys the other franchises in the city. No, it's fine. Hey, Duolingo, the real question to ask is, can this team get any worse? The season cannot get any worse. Okay, that's fair. Well, you can use that. I think that's implied, but go for it. A fight breaks out between the two Canucks during a game. Maybe that's been happening in the locker room, but yeah, on the ice would be crazy. Abby won in the shootout that saved the night. That's good. More drama in the dressing room. That would be bad. What is the most L in a row for the Canucks? You mean in history? They must have gone on a 10 or 11 game streak sometime. Let me look that up. This year we're already at 6. Longest Canucks losing streak in history. We have had a 10-game losing streak in 97-98. We have had a 10-game losing streak in 97-98. Another locker room rift. Yes, it was. I didn't watch it live either. I watched it while I was getting ready to do this. Canucks won the draft lottery, and the guy they select pulls a Lindros. We trade him, and the package we get back turns out to be Bus. All good. All good. I mean, those aren't good. Those are good answers. And last one, because Russell started this whole thing, the season could get worse if the other teams out-tank the Canucks, and the team will end up finishing 5th, and that means we cannot get the first pick. Trading Hronek for nothing, and all the other Canucks players start fighting each other, and someone punches foot in the face during a game. All right, we'll be able to move on before I get in trouble. But yes, there are definitely ways that the Canucks season could get worse, but a lot of things have gone poorly. So really quickly, just some reflections on last night's game. I was immediately flipping back and forth between that and the 2 NFL playoff games. That one ended, and the first one, the Rams-Panthers game, ended during the Canucks game, and then the other one started, Packers versus the Bears. And especially when the Canucks went down early and when the Canucks couldn't capitalize on their power play chances. But 5-on-5, the Canucks had 60% of the scoring chance. Corsi, and 60% of Fenwick. One of them just takes away blocked shots, as we know. And the scoring chances were even, actually 20-19. But high danger chances, Vancouver had more, 12-8. And then expected goals, when you add it all together, was 2.43 for the Canucks and 1.4 for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we can't sit here and blame effort, because I saw effort from the Canucks. I saw bad execution, though, and you have to look no further than the power play that went 0 for 6, including, I'm not sure if they had a 2-manner, but they went 0 for 6. Pretty sure they had 3 or 4 of those in the first period, and those are just killers. They go both ways, right? If the Canucks capitalize on any of those power play chances, then they're in this game and might even win it. But then you don't capitalize on those, and then that just gives momentum to the other team, and you know that just by Murphy's Law, they're going to score on their chances. And sure enough, we went 0 for 6, and Toronto went 2 for 4. Faceoffs, 70-30. Now, the Canucks aren't the best faceoff team, but they usually don't get smoked in the faceoff circle. They often win. But last night, 70% Toronto, 30% faceoffs. I believe P went 2 for 9 or 2 for 11, whichever way you want to put it. And I believe he didn't win a single faceoff, only one during the power play. And if you're on the first unit power play, you're the center, you take the face off and you lose the puck, there's 20 to 25 seconds because the opposing team can just clear it, which really, really stinks. So those watching the game, in terms of execution, those are two very frustrating things, were the lack of power play and then the bad face-offs. Then when you get into the weeds of the players themselves, obviously no one had any points because they had no goals. And then in terms of hits, it was Sherwood with 4, David Kampf with 4. Kampf was motivated to play against his old team. But I guess the other thing that I want to bring up, two other things, is we're seeing the lack of experience from our defensemen. And I'm excited for this D-core. I was at the start of the year. I will always be. I think the 3 young guys are all going to be good. They're good already, but they're going to be great, hopefully. I noticed, though, that, DPD has had the weakest season of the 3 young guys, and he's been in the lineup, right, swap with P.O. Joseph for the last few games, and he only played 14 minutes. Bouillon played 18, but he had one horrible giveaway. DPD had that one ill-timed line change. Wasn't his fault, though. The Canucks couldn't move the puck. And then I noticed, and I'm not trying to jinx him, but of the 3, I noticed Verlander has the most solid game of the 3 so far. And it's probably the least heralded, right? Because DPD played half of last season. Z Bouillon's being the stud from Minnesota. And then Verlander is the least of the 3 in terms of I guess, publicity or hype. But I think of the 3 young defensemen, he's been the strongest. And Bouillon's going to be great. I think he's going to be a future star. I really do. I think DPD's going to be a solid third-line pair, if not a second-line guy. But Verlander, to me, has been the most impressive of the 3. And I just think he's got great skating, good gap. Once in a while, when I bring up Verlander on the negative, it's because he's getting out-muscled in front of the net. So that is one thing he's going to have to work on, his box-outs and his physical play. But his skating is great. His offensive awareness is great. That's why he's on the power play. I don't think he's the only reason why the power play has struggled, though. So, to be fair. And you have to look at all 5 players on that. But I would say that Verlander is the strongest of the 3. You know what? I would love to ask you guys, now that I've given you my bias, but don't listen to my bias, which D-man has been the best so far this season? So I'm going to give you the 3 young guys, because I think if we were to include everyone, obviously Philip Hronek is doing very well. By the way, I want a quick aside. Have you noticed that the Vancouver Canucks have really built up Philip Hronek, and especially his leadership? They put out that video just 2 days ago, the leadership of Philip Hronek. And so some think that they're gearing him up to be captain. Then I would say, I'm not sure if you want him in front of the media all the time. That others would say, well, it's not about the media. It's more about being a good leader to your team and leading by example, which he does. And I say I agree with that, but you still have to have some media responsibility. So interesting that they're building up Philip Hronek as one of their internal leaders. So I thought the young D struggled yesterday. The lack of center depth. When you have Rossi and Hito both out, Rossi, he hasn't contributed a lot, but you can tell just how much weaker we are when he's out of the lineup. And then of course Hito, we're waiting. But Rossi, Hito, I think, and Garland. Actually, I'm not sure if Rossi was, but I know Garland was skating yesterday with the team in a non-contact, so he's getting closer. And then I guess the big one is Demko. Demko lets in 3 goals on 6 shots in the first period. 2 of them were tipped jam plays right in front of him. One was a nice breakaway play. And then he didn't come out to start the second. We didn't know if it was performance related, give the team a jolt, or if he was injured. And then Adam Foote, only because Thomas Drance asked him about it, he didn't come out and proactively say it. Adam Foote said that Demko was out with a lower body injury and will be reevaluated this week, which is really, really sad. So expect the Canucks to call up Nikita Tolopilo to back up Lankinen. They got it back-to-back on Monday, Tuesday, so maybe you need Lankinen. I'm sorry, maybe you need Tolopilo. And just add it to the list of how the season has been pretty bad is another one is Thatcher Demko's durability. Yes. So some recaps then really quickly from last night's game. Power play was bad. Faceoffs were bad. Canucks' effort wasn't bad. They actually controlled a lot of the fancy stats. Young D struggled. And then Thatcher Demko gets injured. So not a great night for the Vancouver Canucks, who they usually don't play well in Toronto, but they usually do play well against Toronto at home. I'm going to show you a couple things, and then we will get into all of your comments and questions. We don't have to go through all the scores. Although the one thing about yesterday were there are a lot of shutouts or big scores. 10-2 here, 4-0 here, 5-0 here, 4-0 here, and a 7-2 there, and a 3-0 there. So I got at least 4 shutouts, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, and 4-0, and then 2 blowouts, 7-2 and 10-2. You look at the standings. This is the one I look at first now. We are tied for last, but Winnipeg has 1 game in hand. So for all intents and purposes, we are the lowest points percentage. So we are 32nd in the league. And then if you even want to look at this anymore, we are 11 points out of a playoff spot. So how quickly that went from 6 to 11. It could have been, the gap could have been as small as 4. Remember, if they had beaten Seattle and then beaten Boston on those home games last year, at the end of last year. It's funny to say last year, at the end of last year, but instead they are now 11 out and pretty much dead to rights for sure. You look at the schedule and what happened in the past week. So this past week, well, the Canucks have lost 6 overall in a row because at the end of December, they lost their last game of the season to Philly. That was on the 30th when Rick Tocchet came back. And then here it is. So they beat. Yeah, it's actually, you could say they've lost 8 of their last 9 actually, because they lost to Philly in Philly. They lost to San Jose at home. Then they won that shootout in Seattle, but then it's been 6 straight. They lost to Philly at home. Then they lost. These are the 2 games I was talking about, Boston and Seattle at home. And then this past week, this was the game where they went down 4-0 and they scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes to make it close. And then they gave up an empty netter basically 2 seconds after they pulled their goalie. They don't have the best empty net management. So that's a loss, but at least they made it exciting. This was a bad loss, even though they played okay, but the score was bad. And again, they played okay, but the score was bad. I'm not saying they played okay to win, enough to win. But yeah, at least from the fancy stats, the Canucks didn't play that badly, but that's moral victories don't mean anything right now. So look at that. In the past week, they were outscored 15-4. Least consistent, 5-5 goals against, and they only scored 3, 1, and 0. So 5-5, 15-4 outscored, and they lose all 3 games. Next up, they have the next 3 games still on the road. You got the back-to-back in Central Canada. You have Montreal on Monday. You have Ottawa on Tuesday. And then you have Columbus on Thursday before they host the Oilers. By the way, I have, thankfully I've sold most, but I still have a few tickets left for this 8-game homestand you see here. So if you're interested in Canucks tickets, shoot me a message at canuckclay@gmail.com. I know I have a lot of tickets left for this game, this Maple Leafs game. 1 pair for Oilers, 1 pair for Islanders. Yeah, so let me know. Let me know if you need tickets to any games on this upcoming homestand. Email me, canuckclay@gmail.com. You know, Montreal's playing very well. Ottawa's, they're in turmoil right now. Maybe they're the only team more dysfunctional than the Canucks right now, but they're dropping the standings. So Montreal's going to be a tough game. Ottawa will be an interesting game. And Columbus, they're bottom of the East, still ahead of us, but this is one game we should win if there is one pick to win one game on this road trip, and then we know how tough Edmonton is and how well Connor McDavid is playing. I think 18 game point streak right now. Malcolm Celebrini is at a 13 game point streak. So that's where we are, Canucks fans. I look back, I look ahead, and I'll get to all of your comments after my mid-show sponsor read. So if you've asked questions already, That's great. But I'm going to need you to retype them in a second. Yes, the Canucks have not had a lead in 2026. Canucks Clay selling tickets to 2.5 hour horror show. Tyler, yeah, repeating exactly what I just said, but maybe you type this in without hearing me say that. Yeah, 15-4 is the goals for versus goals against. Let's start off by thanking my primary sponsor, and that, of course, is Jason Lim of Van City Experts. In a second, right here. Thank you to my channel sponsor, Jason Lim of Van City Experts Real Estate. At Van City Experts, their experience, knowledge, and expertise can serve you well in navigating through the real estate market and will help you to choose the best home or condo in the greater Vancouver area that best suits your and your family's needs. Thank you to my secondary sponsors. The first one is Gassy Jack Art, creator of this wonderful artwork that you see in my home studio. Support Gassy Jack Art at gassyjackart.com. We have Mulligan Golf Company, mlgngolf.com for all your golfing accessories, apparel, and Vessi Footwear. Use the link tinyurl.com/VessiClay and receive a free pair of socks on your next purchase of Vessi shoes. Thanks to everyone who's bought Canuck Clay merch. You can do so at canuckclay.threadless.com. Also, a reminder how you can get involved today. Subscribe to the channel, get active in the chat section, like the video. You can leave a donation. You can gift a membership. You can buy your own membership, upgrade your membership, use your monthly membership message. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, you can rate and review. You can be the first one to get the donation train out of the station tonight. Right now, today, Fangirl is winning with 450 points, Swervin Yrvin at 150, Justin at 100, and then a bunch you tied with 75 experience points. And my next show is today, tonight at 11 p.m. Pretty easy, 11 a.m., 11 p.m., 12 hours apart. We'll preview the upcoming week, and I'll get more of your feedback and just continue to talk about the state of this team. And then I will release. I've already published it on my channel, on my community board. But then I'll talk about the rest of this week's schedule sometime tonight. Okay, let's do 20 minutes or so of your questions and comments, starting from when I did my Mitchell sponsor read. So if you typed in something really profound up top, type it in again. Burns says, can't wait for the Olympic break. I don't know if that's so to give the Canucks a break and or because he likes Olympic hockey. I get the anticipation of having a high pick this June, but how are you even watching all the games at this point? Great question, Irvin. To be honest with you, or to be frank, even though my name is Clay, I probably wouldn't be watching. I'd be watching, but more casually if I didn't have this channel, right? I think this channel, and I'm never complaining, like I'm not complaining, but I think this channel, it behooves me to watch the games because I can't come on here and say, I heard they did this. Obviously, I can't watch all 82 games. Sometimes it's a bowling night. Sometimes it's church night, whatever. Or sometimes I'm working, I'm away, whatever. But if I have the opportunity to watch, I should. And last night, yeah, I was fine. I didn't have anything else to do. Having a quiet, yesterday it was very quiet. Today's going to be very busy for me. But yesterday was a quiet day. So to answer your question, how am I watching? I still, I'm not afraid to admit that I still want them to win when I'm watching the games. But I get the attraction of losing, and I'm still interested in this team, even though their style of play is not entertaining to watch. Long answer. When I said I want to change from Tocchet's tactics, this wasn't the change I had in mind. I hear you, Connor. I hear you, Double C. The worst has just begun. Just wait till player mutiny starts. Foot needs to go. Some would say Foot is the perfect tank commander. The Canucks players need to do a players only meeting at this point. Yeah, that's a good point. We've heard of other franchises doing this. I wonder if it works. Really intriguing hearing from Dolly that the Canucks are very keen and interested in Caleb Malhotra. Going to talk to Dave Hall about it tomorrow. Yeah, I just don't think the Canucks are going to be picking at a place where Malhotra is going to end up winding up. But that not to say the Canucks draft picks are set in stone. Do you think if this nosedive continues, they will fire Foot? My concern is the longer Foot stays coach, the young guys will be affected and make the veterans non-tradable. Yeah. Do you fire Foot mid-season? Wow, what a disaster. Not even lasting a full year. And then here's another thought. I read it on someone's show, or I heard on some show. We talk about, Manny Malhotra is next up. What if Malhotra says, no, thanks, I'm good. I actually don't want to coach this tire fire of a team, right? So I don't know. I think if this nosedive continues, I don't. A gut feeling of mine is that Foot makes it to the end of the season. They're going to focus on trading players. I like your answers, Clay. Thank you, Lyndon. I appreciate it. Do you mean overall? Thank you. I try and actually give actual thought to my answers. Is Demeron borrowed time? That's now the third or fourth time he's picked up an injury. How many times does this happen to happen before management accepts it's over? Yeah, Double C, you're right. But what do you do? Do you terminate his contract? That's not going to go well. Do you trade him? That's the only thing you can do. But you're not going to get anything for him. But maybe you get the $8.5 million in cap space, right? Starting next season. Really high in Malhotra. That's good. Doesn't matter who this coach is. This team doesn't have it to win. I think if this team truly rebuilds, you got to keep Foot for the rest of the season for the tank. Top 3 pick. You try and tank next year again. Okay, so Justin is advocating for Foot for a season and more and a half. Yeah, sounds right. It's got to be 6 or 7 at least. Yep. I used to record all the games, says Helen, so I can watch them at a later time. These days I don't record. I also book appointments regardless of game night. Wow. Helen, they've broken Helen. We don't know if it's new or recurring. Foot is doing a great job. The team works hard. They are young and abandon their structure too often. Okay, so Chris is saying it's not all Foot. It's a product of the young players. They don't have a captain and real leaders on the ice by the looks of it. They've all just blamed each other for mistakes by the look of it. Malhotra is also skyrocketing up the charts. Yeah, he's like a top 10 billboard. Give Foot a year or two. Did anyone go to Greta? I believe Tyler did. There we go. Tyler and Alfred. Awesome. Does the outside perspective of giving him a proper shot force him to give him an extra year given injuries at the start? No. Wallach, I don't think, as much as I say that I think he'll make it to the end of the season, I don't think they owe him another season because of injuries or anything like that. What does with the cow mean? Did I miss something? Ellie Women's what was your top? I'd say trade him at this point. He's just never going to regain his imperious form. It's sad, but it's the brutal reality of sport. So just cut ties, get whatever you can get. Double C. I can see all the vets will be gone. Myers, Bluger, Connor, Garland, Sherwood. No, Myers won't. So remember, a lot of these guys have no trade clauses. And Myers took a lot less money. And Rick Dollywell talked about this with Tyler, but it's well known that Myers signed for only 3 years, $3 million. Could have got 5 or 6 on the open market to stay here and get his no trade. Bluger, yes, he's a UFA. You got to trade him, although he hasn't played yet. O'Connor, I think they like his size and speed. Garland, his no trade doesn't kick it until July 1st. And Sherwood, yes, for sure. In terms of attracting coaching talent, have them look over their shoulder due to injuries. We might be attracting coaching talent hard. Yeah, I don't know. Who wants to come here, though? Foot deserves a full shot because of injuries and management failure to find a 2C. That's fair, Justin. Even as a casual fan, I can tell the players aren't in the mood to be reminded how bad they are. Helen wants to know what the atmosphere was like at Greta. Firefoot. But the team won't be patient, and they'll use Foot as a scapegoat. It's usually always the coach that gets shafted. Yeah, it's easier to fire one coach as opposed to trade 20 players. Management believes in Petey and Besser to win us a cup. Clay, it's important that us old fans that have been through the stage of team building help the young fans get through it. Young fans are really struggling with the process. Tony, that's a good point. You know, I'm not calling out any young fans in particular, but that is, yeah, there's 2 things I want to say about that. That's a really good point, Tony, is older fans have been through a lot more. And as bad as this feels, we've been through similar things, and that's going to make the redemption whenever it comes going to feel that much better. So I agree with that. And we also didn't have social media. We didn't have we had like really hard-nosed journalists like Tony Gallagher and Neil McRae and stuff like that, but it wasn't as easy to there are fewer opinions when we were watching too, because there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't social media and whatever. So positive or negative attitude and influence spreads really quickly. And yes, I think a lot of young fans are smart enough to form their own opinion, but a lot of younger fans, newer fans, I should say, also kind of go with the flow and kind of don't form their own opinions and just pile on and take other people's opinions. So I think those two things are both true, in my opinion. And I think those two things are big factors. Great point, Tony. Great point. Atmosphere was upbeat despite the loss. They did a live rink wide. Yep, good. I don't think Foot lasts the next season. The vets aren't so easy to move. This is why I don't want a Sherwood extension. Amen. I got destroyed. Yeah, you don't seem to win at air hockey at all. I remember you saying last time you didn't win either. Russ and Dusty pointing out EPD talking about one of the coaches after Max Domi's goal. Yes, we saw that on TV, especially when it was on I'll zip it. I don't want to be told how to play my game. Yeah, that one's tough because we don't know exactly what one of the assistant coaches was saying. But yeah, I would have liked to see more of him turning back and nodding, but it was more staring off and really not acknowledging. But again, we don't know what was said, and we don't know, how contentious it was, if at all. Salary cap adds an extra layer to trades. You can get rid of a player in his contract and get, and then it stops. Okay. Crazy thing, the Jets were on an 11-game winning streak this time last year. Now they're doing the opposite. I forgot about that. Nobody wants to play for Foot. How can we not fire that dinosaur? Okay, so how do you really feel? As a big-time Colorado fan, the hockey division much better. Clay, maybe we can divert some discussion to other teams so us fans don't get into depressive mode. No, I'm not Clay's Colorado commentary. We got to stay loyal. Helen. If Sherwood was going to resigning here, he would have done it already. No, I definitely don't think that's true. Technically, they would have... Yeah, he would have. I hear what you're saying. Like he's had since July 1, but it felt completely different, right? Than say the Quinn Hughes situation. So in theory, you're right. He's had since July 1 to resign, but I wouldn't necessarily close book it and say if he was going to stay here, it would have been done already. But it would make sense for the Canucks to move him. Talking about DPD, very, very worrying to see for one of the young guys. Helen, Yrvin didn't know that Helen was a Navs fan. Might explain DP being sent down. We missed a shot not hiring Babcock. He would fire up on underperforming Stars. I don't disagree. I turned the game off with just a few minutes left in the third. I couldn't stand anymore. Sherwood might want to, but the Canucks don't want to give him his number. Oh, I think you meant phone number. You mean salary? Yes. Canucks want a first for Sherwood, but I think teams won't want to pay that for a 2-month rental. Maybe get a second. Discussion of extension is not so he will stay, but to increase the value in trade. Yes, we talked about that a lot this week, but that's a good point. Canucks fans shouldn't have been surprised when Canucks made him an offer. Lost at a Family Feud to Alfred, and I must be a Canucks fan. God, did you take any W's yesterday, Tyler? Thanks for the update. Mancini gets best D-man for standing up and fighting Duhaime in Washington. Oh, I forgot about that. If we sweeten the trade, can we get a first for Sherwood? Either we sweeten the trade or they do a sign and trade, right? That Sherwood has an extension already. Makes you wonder if the Canucks would have made the offer made to him 4 or 5 years at 4 or 4.5 if we could get it done. I believe that Sherwood wants both of his numbers to start with a 5 years and money. Cut ties. We need healthy goalies, not one that incur high risk of injury every few games. And when you consider the 8.5, that's why the trade has to happen. That's fair. Then again, back then we didn't know we would be in this spot. Oh, for Sherwood or the team. Babcock is a terrible human being if you follow all the wicked things he has done as players. Why are we hiring former grinders like Torch, Foot, Tocchet as coaches? They hate offense. They run our players in the ground, and they wonder why I got so many injuries. Yeah, but that's kind of like the kind of coach that's out there, right? Andrew Brunette is a former grinder player. There's another one I was going to say. Yeah, usually Patrick Wall may be the exception. Usually former players who coach are more of the, not role players, but kind of the leader, grindy, gritty, as opposed to like the total skill players. Yeah, 6 losses in a row now. Always been an Avs fan, big fan of Forsberg Sakic. Went through the rebuild with them now. They have Brent Burns, one of my other favorite players. I used to go to all the Minnesota San Jose games. Very good. What can we sweeten with? We can't afford to give up draft picks, and no one wants our centers right now. And we don't need to retain salary because the salary is so low. Dolly is a win. That's true. We're a team putting Kampf on a first line is understandable. I'd be more worried if it was the Jets. They have a full Stars roster. Okay, so excusing a little bit. Everyone else on the block has some sort of no trade. First for Kiefer, that's the hope. We'll see. Tyler doesn't think we have a sweetener. Pete DeBoer, I'm surprised nobody else has thought of him. Yeah. His name's come up a couple times here for sure. You need toughness for elite players to have room. That is true. That is true. Feel a bit more brave, right, when you have tough players on your side. All right, friends, I'm going to go for 3 or 4 more minutes. So get your comments, your questions in. I will highlight them, and then I will get going on my day. Hard to do a full rebuild with all these no movement clauses. That is very true, Jeevan. Very, very good point. As a Canucks fan, we all know the team needs a rebuild, and the proper way is through the draft. I think we should draft Gavin. We kind of need someone with attitude. Yeah, Chris, we'll see. We will see where the Canucks end up. And this McKenna-Stenberg debate is going to be very, very interesting for the next 5 months. You know, that's a great point. I was actually thinking about this during the Canucks-Detroit game. Is there's no one on the Canucks team that strikes fear in the other side. And didn't it look like, even when Detroit and Toronto were scoring, especially Toronto last night, I was actually surprised how Toronto, even at from the 2-0 goal on, they didn't seem that excited when they scored. They have a very workmanlike, businesslike attitude. And I don't know, despite the Canucks having some decent chances, didn't it seem, to me, it seemed like Toronto never felt like they were going to lose that game. They never felt like they were in danger of losing that game. I don't know. 67% of you agree with me that Verlander's been the best, 20% saying Booyam, and 13% of you saying DPD. How long can want the Canucks backing Demko, PD, and Besser? Yeah, it's tough. There's a lot of money, right? Starting next year, there'll be 8, 16, almost 30 million tied up in those 3 players. Please trade Kane, says Fangirl. Kudos to Pedersen for trying to jolt the team with that fight, but he was mismatched against Donut. Yeah, he did not do well. Also trying to get rid of Kane as well. He's nothing to convince me he was worth the money spent on him. Canucks in bad shape. This is the worst Canucks been in 26 years. So 26 years since 97, 98, 99. Took the words out of Connor's mouth. Since Messier's nightmare, no scoring or toughness. The argument for Malhotra is intriguing strictly from a mental makeup standpoint, given who his father is. Yeah. But it's got to fit, right, where the Canucks are drafting. It's going to take a few years to unload existing contracts before the Canucks really hit rock bottom, unless they are going to retain large portions. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So maybe you're saying that we're not at rock bottom yet, but we're close to it. Nobody wants Kane, not even the Oilers. Might have to go for a late pick if they even trade him, probably closer to deadline. Ryan Smith, Dylan Gunther, and their practice facility for Aquilini. Sherwood and Demko. Very good, very good. Very, very good. Friends, thank you. Thank you for helping me get my Sunday started off well. I'm now going to a party. I'm going to a meeting. Then I'm going to church. Then I'm going to dinner. And then I have my show tonight. So I hope if you're around that you can join me tonight at 11 p.m. for my next show. More of the same with a bigger crowd. But today was good. This is my biggest morning show in a long, long time. And like I said, going forward, I will be doing one morning show a week on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. And next week, it will be on Sunday morning as well. Moderators, thank you for keeping this a safe and respectful place. Members, that's legendary Lucas Gates, legendary Brian Blingy Choi, legendary Carol Bovelander, legendary Swervin Yrvin, and legendary Andrew Chang. Thank you for your support, and thanks to Hall of Fame and franchise members as well. And thanks to all of you for watching, liking, and subscribing. On your way out, like the video, subscribe. You can leave a late donation. It would be the first donation of the day. Otherwise, thank you for your support. And thanks to my sponsors, Vancouver Experts Real Estate, Gassy Jack Art, and Mulligan Golf Company. And congratulations to Fangirl for winning the fictional leaderboard at 525. Justin comes in second at 175. Swervin Yrvin comes in third at 150. And there's your top 3 for the day. And a bunch of people tied for 75. So again, have a great Sunday. Hope you enjoy doing whatever you're doing. And I'll see you tonight at 11 p.m. for my evening version of this show. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourselves, and take care of each other. I'm not sure if I told you, back in the day before we had Sean, our first kid, I told Gail, my lovely wife, that I wanted to name our son Lance. And then Gail said, why would we name him Lance? That's such an uncommon name. But then I replied, I said, I told her in the medieval days, people were named Lancelot. Lancelot. God bless. And go Canucks go.